All right, so let me go back to Nashville. When I was in Nashville, so in the early afternoon, I met up with a friend that I made from the deployments in Texas. And so he was also working under that same guy that I ran into twice at Bitcoin Park. And so when I was in Nashville, because he lives there, I hit him up and said, hey, man, I'm going to be there if you want to hang out. Let's go grab a beer. Let's go grab a burger or whatever. So we did. And so I was on my way to meet up with him when I ran into the owner of the company when I was passing by Bitcoin Park. So we met up and we had some drinks and we had some burgers and it was great. And then we both ran into that same guy that owns the company that had employed us both. And he said, hey, tonight there's a BitDevs meeting at 6 p.m. And before that, at 5 p.m., they're doing pizza. So you should come by and check it out. And it's open to the public. And we were like, oh, man, yeah, let's do that. Let's go do that. Let's check it out. So we did. 5 p.m. we showed up. We had some pizza. Met and talked to some people. In the first little group that I was chatting with, there was a guy that was clearly from London, England, United Kingdom, based on his accent. And also him complaining about his jet lag. That was very charismatic. And I didn't know who he was at the time. And then later, just by total coincidence and happenstance, I saw his face and his name listed as a speaker for a Bitcoin conference in somewhere in the Baltic area, I think. And so I was like, oh, I met that guy. That's cool. I didn't know who he was. And I was like in a conversation chatting with him, had no idea. And so he's like a prominent kind of speaker, voice, or think boy, if you will. I don't think that's what he is really, but some might call him that. And then later that evening, and so this is the cool part of the story, all right? So if you're tuning into the story, this is the part you want to listen to, okay? I went to the BitDevs meeting, and we're listening to all these people who are probably Bitcoin celebrities that I just don't know about because I'm not a programmer, coder, I've read a bunch of books and stuff, but I don't really know the faces to a lot of the names that I've read about. But during this meeting, they were, talking about developing Bitcoin and adding all these features to Bitcoin Core and everything else. And then a question about Sparrow came up. And if you've watched my channel, you know that I'm a huge Sparrow fan. Sparrow is absolutely the best Bitcoin desktop companion for any hardware devices that you have out there. It's absolutely the best wallet management system. It's just the best. And the way, not only the way it looks, but the way it functions, how smooth it is, how secure it is. Just like everything is so perfect about this app. And so I had actually watched a video of one of the developers of this app, Sparrow, giving a presentation at the last Bitcoin conference. I think in Miami, not Amsterdam, but I think it was in Miami. And he's a British guy, or at least I think he is based on his accent. The guy's name is Craig Raw. And I watched this video of him just kind of glossing over a lot of the features of Sparrow. And I learned a lot from that because there were tons of things in there I didn't know. And so thanks to that video, I learned a ton of stuff. And then I've made videos. So I learned how to use these things. And then I made videos myself showing my followers how to implement Sparrow and the JADE BLOCKSTREAM hardware wallet into their lives and become financially and monetarily sovereign. So in the meeting, a question of Sparrow came up, and then there was this guy that was sitting on across the room from me, and when the question of Sparrow came up, everybody kind of looked at him, and then he kind of like piped in and threw in his 2 cents about the question or the issue or whatever it was. I don't remember what it was exactly. It just involved Sparrow in some way. And then when I heard him talk and I saw his face, I was like, oh, I recognize this guy. And so I had to look that video up on my phone because I didn't remember the details, but I had a suspicion. I was like, wait, was that the guy that gave the video at the Bitcoin Miami conference about Sparrow? Is he a developer for Sparrow? I look it up. Sure enough, it is. Like, it is his face, very, very specific face. And I was like, oh, that's definitely him. And then I see his name in the title. I was like, oh, that's Craig Raw. That's his name. Okay, cool. And I was like, man, I got to, when this thing is over, I got to go at least just shake his hand to say thank you for making this app or helping make this app. And so I did. I waited for a moment that he wasn't, being hounded by anybody else. And I just tapped him on the shoulder and I just said, hey, man, are you a developer for Sparrow? And he goes, I'm the only developer for Sparrow. And at that moment, that was too huge for me to process. So I just let it slide. And I was like, I just reached out and shook his hand. And I was kind of speechless. This is like my Bitcoin celebrity moment, my first Bitcoin celebrity moment. And I was like, dude, thank you so much for that app. It's absolutely fantastic. I probably said a lot less words than that because I was just kind of like in shock of all the things that were happening in my head at that time. And I was probably awkward as shit. But anyway, I just shook his hand. I said, thank you. Thank you so much. And then I walked away. I actually had to leave because my ride home with my friends were imminently on the way, and so I was like, I kind of have to go. Otherwise, I would have loved to have stayed and chat with him. But later I was thinking about it, and I was like, wait a minute, he's the only developer? Craig Raw is the only developer of this app. This app is one of the most powerful, it is the most powerful software tool that is out there. You can plug in basically any piece of hardware, Bitcoin hardware, onto this thing and use it as a companion. And that includes Ledger and Trezor and Jades and cold wallets and yeah, I might be getting the name wrong on that. And a multitude of other ones that I don't even know about. I haven't even had the time nor the money to go through and explore them. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is one guy that's doing all this. And it's absolutely incredible what he's accomplished. And not only does it function well and it's intuitive in its user interface, it also looks great. It looks fantastic and it operates smoothly. My mind was just blown. Like, one person did this, that's amazing. And it also, to me, meant a lot in terms of the fact that, given what it provides, given what Sparrow allows you to do, if you have one or two, using multi-sig, 2 hardware devices, given what it allows you to do in terms of empowering people, empowering humanity, one person is able to do this and affect this kind of change on top of Bitcoin, thanks to Bitcoin. It just blew my mind. And I spent the whole next few days just constantly thinking this over, like how amazing that is. And then actually just today I found out that Stacker News put me in their Saturday newsletter, a post that I put in there basically telling this exact story and just in lesser words. So that whole story to me was very fun and interesting. And it was my first celebrity Bitcoin moment, or Bitcoin celebrity moment. And I couldn't be more grateful to Bitcoin Park and Craig Raw, Joe Angelo, and Angelo, Guardrail, and my buddy Marcus, and my friends Grant and Lila for hosting me over there in Nashville. Oh, without any of them and without any of that, I would not have been able to have that whole experience. So I'm just really grateful to all these things. So it cults into one entity, and in this like a blossoming flower, this beautiful thing happens. So very, very grateful and appreciative to that. So that is my Bitcoin Park story along my journey to Georgia. Cheers to my Swedish friends. Skål. Skål. I didn't forget, it was just delayed.